First
Ooh.
off, congratulations on this film. It does something that is rarely seen on screen. It authentically depicts sex and intimacy. So thank you so much, because that is an important thing to see. Which brings me to my first question. Renuka, how important is it to see, not only authentic depictions of sex and intimacy on screen, but also the fact that Grace's decision when it comes to sex isn't, about one particular thing like religion?
Yeah, I mean, at first that decision to have her be so like inexperienced or whatever her history was more of like a concept. But then I kind of like delved into that, and I think that's the experience of a lot of people. And it's something that maybe isn't talked about because there's a shame, we're all kind of conditioned, like have sex when you're like 13 or whatever. But for a lot of people, that isn't the case. And it's a lot harder to make those real connections, and you want something meaningful. And so, yeah, it's a story that's not always told, and that's always interesting, and hopefully interesting for an actor, because it's not something that's typical. And yeah, you want to see female experiences that are varied, that aren't the cliches, that aren't just the kind of let's just do that, go the same old path. And this was an opportunity to explore something new.
Oh, yes, beautifully said. And we're so glad you did. I truly loved it. So over the course of the night, Grace gets more out of her head and becomes a little more adventurous. And while Carter, I feel like in a way kind of gets in his head and allows himself to kind of confront what's really going on and to get some perspective. So Andrea and Joe, how is their growing relationship throughout the night an example of the freedom that can come from being vulnerable?
Whoever would like to start. Andrew, you go first.
I mean, for me personally, I think trying to be open is so important. And these two people, Grace and Carter, are very different. And in any other story or any other given life, they probably would have never met or interacted. And what I loved about the film is that you do have these two different people who make a choice to continue their conversation, and as a result, they get closer and learn how they can help each other grow, and how there may be more similarities versus differences. And so I think by the end for Grace, I don't want to, I mean, you've seen it. So by the end, she herself learns that to be open, different types of people, different experiences, that it just opens her world up so much more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really lovely to see kind of her growth throughout the film. And Joe, what about for you?
Yeah, I think Carter's, usually just interacting with people on a more of a surface level and just having fun, and is not very open to going in deep and letting people in, actually. And to have this girl who maybe isn't the typical type of girl he'd be attracted to, and just be open to her and have her opening him up, and having a great connection with her, and then probably finding something that is better, or meant a lot more than anything else he's ever encountered. I think that's pretty cool, and it's good. People should do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly like freeing and like very sexy to watch. Like, I think that, I mean, of course, it's accompanied by this lovely like jazz music that we get. But
Great music.
I was like, ooh, I'm in the mood. What's going on? But I feel like we've lost that a little bit. We've lost that that sort of just energy exchange that can happen when you least expect it, and just the how rewarding it is to just have good, real, authentic human conversations. And I think, and the good that can come from that. And anyway, I mean, obviously in this case, it's romantic, but platonic, romantic, with family member, who knows, but it's sort of a lovely example of what can come when you sort of, give yourself into having just connection, just connect, which is really wonderful.
Yeah, I think that just to elaborate on that, I think for me, also the movie is about like these two characters are so terrified in their own way of intimacy, and it's about them. They both have that in common, although, she's very private, he's very public, but they're both sort of very terrified of true intimacy. And just in terms of the feel and the music and the vibe of the movie, it was trying to like always juxtapose those really intimate moments with very public spaces. Hence that my obsession with the view, like the view, this view. You got these really like, hotel, like really intimate interactions, but like in the backdrop and the deep background is the whole city. So that was always kind of forefronted there.
Yeah. And it's like, there's something beautiful about it taking place in a big city and sort of finding those more like corners, private corners of like, and being able to find that intimacy when you're in such a large city, and also what intimacy means. Like it's defined in so many different ways: emotional intimacy, physical intimacy. The sexiest moment for me is just them like sitting on the bed and their arms touching, referencing the conversation earlier about the like adorable story of Grace's experience on the bus. Like I just love those kind of tender moments. I also want to talk about the moments of silence between Grace and Carter, which spoke volumes, and it made it feel so naturalistic. This kind of awkwardness of who's going to speak first, who's going to make the first move. I would just love to hear how the three of you together worked to find that balance between dialogue and being kind of present in the moment and creating that terrific tension that's there.
Cast to talk.
I think the goal is obviously always to keep it as real as possible, but this sort of just happened naturally, just our characters being who they are. I think this was for both of them at first as far as interaction with another human being goes. So it was just trying to figure that out for both of us. So for me, and I think also for Andrea, it just kind of happened naturally. It's like we didn't have to work on it that much. We just stuck to what we had and played with it.
Yeah, and I think it's because in terms of just letting moments and like dialogue breathe, I give a lot of credit to Renuka because definitely that room to breathe. It could easily give into someone else, just like, we got to get this quick, chop, 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 like get to the next moment, hurry up. But Renuka definitely like gave it that room with it, which it really gave to the mood and intimacy and everything.
Yeah, that's when like the magic happened. There's like, I love that you said in the breath of the scenes.
Yeah, it's the looks, what they're not saying but thinking, and Joe and Andrea are so good. Like they think something and you see it on their face, and so it's like, why would I cut that out?
Yeah, yeah. It was again to bring it back to intimacy. Like for me, the best storytelling is kind of evolved around intimacy in a way. It should make you feel like you shouldn't be there. I felt a lot of times like I was a fly in the wall, intruding on these moments, which I loved. Okay, so this has been so lovely. Thank you so much for your time. But to end on a more fun little note, I loved the burger analogy. That was like a very funny moment. So, if stay the night were food or a dish, what would it be? Why?
What would the dish be if it was the movie?
Yeah, what would I don't know,
something that you would eat slowly. I think something that you would enjoy. What is that?
Fondue.
Fondue, no.
Because it can be sweet, it can be savory.
Maybe like a really good dessert, like I don't know.
Chocolate fondue.
Chocolate fondue.
He obviously Joe wants some fondue, I think. You know what's on your mind. Oh my God.
Timeless.
Well, this was so lovely. Thank you so much.